Good evening, welcome to the Fire Burns Within channel again. Time for another video. This time it's Rhapsody of Fire later on, but Rhapsody to begin with. I always still call them Rhapsody. This Rhapsody of Fire, I don't like that name. But anyway, they had to change their name, so we can't argue over that now. Anyway, Rhapsody, Italian symphonic power metal. Probably one of the cheesiest bands that I like. Over the top, absolutely over the top. The amount of cheese that these guys use is unsurpassed. But I like a lot of their stuff. I just love the feel, the speed, the melodies, the symphonicness, the epicness. It's just good stuff. Okay, let's go all the way back to the beginning. 1997, I think it was. Legendary Tales, the very first Rhapsody album. The song I want to mention here is Rage of the Winter. Very catchy, fast song. Very cool riffs, very melodic. The first time we hear Fabio's warbling, very catchy song. Other song to mention is Lord of the Thunder, very good song again. Legendary Tales is a very good start for the band. I mean, in that time we hadn't heard anything like this, so to hear something so over the top, dramatic, melodic, it's like classical music set to speed metal. We hadn't heard this stuff before, not really anyway, so it was a bit of a eye-opener, and then you either got it or you didn't get it. But I got it, obviously. Okay, moving on. Symphony of Enchanted Lands. The next album is probably my favourite Rhapsody album. Still Rhapsody, not Off Fire yet. I just love this album. I was playing this to death. Came out just a while after, a year after. The song I'm going to give here is Wisdom of the Kings. Very cool song. Epic chorus. It's like big choirs. Everything is set to the max. Two other songs to mention. Emerald Sword is not an underrated song by any means. It's a song that Rhapsody plays to this day live. And the other song is Beyond the Gates of Infinity, another very cool epic song. Moving on, Dawn of Victory, the next album. It moved slightly away, well, very slightly away from the over the top symphonic elements. They still had loads of them, but they became a little bit heavier. The guitar is a little bit more aggressive. Dawn of Victory. The song I want to mention here is The Mighty Ride of the Fire Lord. The song titles are the best in Rhapsody. I mean, they're unsurpassed. It's a great song. Speed, melodic, very catchy, great stuff. Two other songs to mention. Both of them are big hits on the album. Triumph for My Magic Steel. Again, a hilarious title. Very catchy song. And the big hit of the album, Holy Thunder Force. Very melodic again, very fast. Fast, intricate melodic riffs. Epic vocals from Fabio. He's very accented. And he can be whiny. And it's hard to understand the words because of his accent. Well, anyway, you just if you get it, you understand why he fits Rhapsody so well. The next album is Reign of a Thousand Flames, which was like, I don't think it was an official album, but ended up being an album because they released this like a stopgap release almost before the next album. And I remember them saying, well, this is an album of all new songs, and it's just released very shortly before the following album, which was Power of the Dragon Flame. Anyway, Reign of a Thousand Flames was a really amazing little album. I mean, it's epic. It's like an album in itself. The song I want to mention here is Queen of the Dark Horizons. It's an epic song, 13 minutes 44 I've written here. Very long, epic, typical Rhapsody epic. Like, it's got lots of passages, folky bits, medieval, speed metal, power metal, over the top stuff. And the other track to mention, of course, is the title track, Reign of a Thousand Flames. Very catchy chorus, more to the point, more classic, typical Rhapsody. You know, very catchy chorus. Okay, the next album is Power of the Dragon Flame. I mentioned that before. It's a very good album. Again, slightly heavier, I found, than previous ones, going more back towards the Dawn of Victory. The title track is the one I want to mention here. It's probably well known, but I found that really catchy, a really good song. When Demons Awake is the slightly different song. It's very aggressive, some slight scratchy vocals from Fabio. Very heavy, very speed metal, that one. Almost thrash, but not quite thrash, just very melodic speed metal. The next album they did was Symphony of Enchanted Lands 2, the sequel, The Dark Secret it's called. Again, it was a good follow-up. They're on a run now, they're on a roll. Like, Rhapsody's always on a roll at this point. You know, coming out with plenty of material. The song I want to mention here is Shadows of Death. It's quite a heavy song, still very melodic as usual. Two other songs to mention. Unholy War Cry, it's like the catchy single of the album. And the epic is Arian's Mystical Rhymes. Very epic, that one. It's got lots of passages, typical Rhapsody, like a lot of thought gone into it. Luca and Alex Staropoli, the keyboard player, they're the two main songwriters at this point. I think Luca writes mainly most of the music, and Alex writes the keyboard parts and maybe some riffs as well. I'm not sure, but it's mainly them two. The next album is the first album under the moniker Rhapsody of Fire. They'd been away for a while. They had a dispute with their record label, Magic Circle Music, Joey DeMaio's record label from Manowar. I think they had some trouble. They couldn't, I don't know, Joey was being a pain to them or something was not right. They disappeared for a while, but I mean, for most bands that would be normal, but for them it was quite a while. So they returned, Rhapsody of Fire. They had to add the of Fire. I'm not sure, but I got a feeling there was a software called Rhapsody which clashed with their name. So the company who owned Rhapsody didn't allow them to use the name Rhapsody anymore because it was basically their name as well. So they had to add the of Fire, the suffix of Fire. So they released Triumph or Agony with Rhapsody of Fire, which was a good start again. Two songs I want to mention. Defenders of Gaia, the first underrated song. Very cool song. Typical Rhapsody. The other one, Heart of the Darklands. Again, typical Rhapsody. There's nothing that isn't typical in a Rhapsody song. They don't surprise you with anything. The odd time they might get heavy or do a raspy vocal and you think, oh, that's a bit odd. But in general, a Rhapsody song is a Rhapsody song. A Rhapsody of Fire song. Next album, they're on a roll again now. They got the Off Fire moniker. Now they start churning them out a bit, you know. A year and a half between albums, something like that. Not long at all. The Frozen Tears of Angels. Yeah, typical Rhapsody. The song I want to mention here, Raging Starfire. Very cool song. And the epic, On the Way to Ainur. Very cool song again. Frozen Tears of Angels. It's a good one. Now, the next album came From Chaos to Eternity. This was the last album to feature Luca Turilli. They had a parting of the ways with Alex. Alex kept the name Rhapsody of Fire, and then Luca formed his own version of Rhapsody called Luca Turilli's Rhapsody. So by adding his own name at the front, he could still be called the band Rhapsody, if you like, without the Of Fire. So now the band is split in two. Luca goes his way, Alex goes his way. They said the split was amicable, but I don't know, it felt a bit odd to me. Like, why suddenly the need for a split? I mean, personally, I think that Alex probably, I don't know, he was getting a little bit fed up because Luca is doing more symphonic, more sort of cinematic music. He's getting slightly away from the original theme of the band, which was to do symphonic power metal, and Luca was slightly incorporating more cinematic music. Although From Chaos to Eternity is a great album, the song I'm picking out is the title track. I mean, it's a well-known song, but it's a very cool song. And the other song is Eons of Raging Darkness. Again, quite a hard, heavier song. Very cool. So now this is the first album without Luca, Dark Wings of Steel. This is the first album without Luca. And yeah, you could tell the difference. You really could. It wasn't so symphonic. It was a little bit more straight ahead metal. Still got very typical Rhapsody sounds, but not so much of the grandiose, the over-the-top epic keyboard sounds that Luca was using. The song I like here is Angel of Light. Very cool song, that one. And the epic of the album, My Sacrifice. That's an epic one. I mean, it goes through all the Rhapsody traits, the up and down, little bit of acoustic, speed metal, slower parts, the epic choirs. They're all there. Okay, now the next album, the penultimate album, Into the Legends. This was the last album with Fabio Leone. Fabio's last effort with the band. The song I've picked out here is Rage of Darkness. It's a pretty heavy song again. Look, the last album they had two albums that they had Eons of Raging Darkness. Now they've got Rage of Darkness. As with Rhapsody, a lot of self-plagiarism or self-repetition. It's just part of power metal. You can't get away from it, especially if you release as much music as Rhapsody have done over the years. The other song to mention is The Kiss of Life. It's an epic song, very cool song from Into the Legend. Although that album as a whole, I don't know, it didn't really excite me too much. I don't know, Fabio didn't sound like his heart was in it, and it wasn't a surprise that he left after this. And strangely enough, he rejoined Luca in Luca's version of Rhapsody. And Luca, in the meantime, he was using Alex Conti, and Alex Conti is now left, and he's singing in Twilight Force, the Swedish power metal band. I mean, I love the album that Luca did with Alex Conti. I forget the name now. Ascending to Infinity, I think it was. Yeah, something like that. That album is epic. I mean, it's really catchy as well. And I like Alex Conti's voice. I mean, I love him in Twilight Force. I love Twilight Force. But anyways, digress again. So, Into the Legend, last album with Fabio. Fabio says, Arrivederci. And finally, we come to the most recent album, The Eighth Mountain. This was with new singer Giacomo Volli. He was very good. This album is inspired. Much more inspired than the last two. This is the best album that Rhapsody of Fire have recorded since, I don't know, maybe Triumph or Agony. This is really good. Very melodic, very speed metal. Good crunchy heaviness. Pretty heavy for this kind of power metal. Very good vocals from Volley. I even saw them live on this album tour. They came to London, and I thought, yeah, well, I'm not gonna miss this. I'm gonna give them a shot. And they were awesome live. They were really good. They played the whole of the album live, the whole of the album, and they also played a lot of hits. They were played for nearly 2 hours, just more than 2 hours. The song I want to mention here is Master of Peace. I think that's a really catchy song. It was released as a single as well, but I think that's a really cool song. 2 other songs to mention. The first one is Warrior Heart, which was like a sort of folky, typical medieval sounding Rhapsody song. And March Against the Tyrant, which is an epic song. It's a fast, heavy riffed song. Again, it's got all the typical Rhapsody traits that the Rhapsody fans love. So there we have it. This is the Rhapsody run through. Underrated songs: Rage of the Winter, Wisdom of the Kings, The Mighty Ride of the Fire Lords, Queen of the Dark Horizons, Power of the Dragon Flame, Shadows of Death, Defenders of Gaia, Raging Starfire, From Chaos to Eternity, Angel of Light, Rage of Darkness, and finally, Master of Peace. Okay, hope you enjoyed this one. Rhapsody of Fire.